Are you sure? That account has a considerable balance of $20,000, Mr. Martinez warned, checking his computer screen. Absolutely sure, I replied, my voice steady. The smile never left my face. It's time to consolidate some funds. Please transfer the full balance to my personal savings account. Today. He nodded, tapping at his keyboard. Of course. As a joint account holder, you have every right. I'll just need your signature here. I signed with a flourish I didn't feel. The pen felt like a scalpel. First incision. All done, he said, handing me a confirmation slip. The funds will be available in your account by end of day. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Have a wonderful day. I walked out of the bank, the autumn sun feeling sharper, the world in clearer focus. The $20,000 was just the loose change. The appetizer. Rebecca wouldn't notice it missing until the next emergency, a broken water heater, a car repair, and then the panic would set in. Let it. My next stop was the law firm of Henderson and Gray. I had passed their dignified storefront 1,000 times. Today I walked in. An hour later, I sat across from a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s, attorney Samantha Clark. I placed my first box of documents on her polished mahogany desk. I need to know what I can legally reclaim from my daughter, I said, bypassing all pleasantries. My story came out in a calm, unemotional recitation. The birthday wish, the lifetime of financial support, the boxes of receipts. I showed her the ledger I'd compiled the night before. The total, $457,200. Samantha listened, her expression transitioning from professional neutrality to subdued horror. When I finished, she let out a slow breath. Mrs. Johnson, this is one of the most egregious cases of filial ingratitude I've ever encountered. The emotional abuse is clear. The financial situation is complex. Tell me. Gifts are gifts. The wedding, the birthday presents, the day-to-day childhood costs, those are almost certainly not recoverable. The court sees them as expressions of love. I nodded, expecting that. However, she continued, leaning forward, large sums for specific purposes, especially if there was any implication of repayment or if they created an expectation of care in your old age, can sometimes be argued as loans or under the doctrine of unjust enrichment. The $150,000 down payment is key. Do you have anything in writing? An email, a text, even a birthday card saying, "Thanks for the house, we'll pay you back someday"? I thought. My heart, which had been a block of ice, gave a single painful throb. I remembered a text from Rebecca years ago, when David was boasting about the house to his friends. "Don't worry, Mom, we're going to take care of you when you're old. This house is partly yours." I had saved it. I'd saved every sentimental message. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through years of archived texts, and found it. I handed the phone to Samantha. She read it, and a grim smile touched her lips. "This house is partly yours. That's excellent. It acknowledges your contribution and couples it with a promise of future care, a quid pro quo. The $16,000 in mortgage payments you made directly to the bank are also strong. We can argue they were loans to prevent foreclosure, not gifts." "And the rest?" I asked. "We send a demand letter. A detailed, itemized invoice for every cent we believe is legally arguable as a debt. The down payment, the mortgage payments, the braces, the emergency medical bills. We'll ask for full repayment within 30 days. We'll cite the text message and the understood agreement of familial support in your retirement. And if she refuses, then we sue. We sue for the money, and we sue for intentional infliction of emotional distress. We will subpoena her bank records, her mortgage statements. We will depose her husband. We will make her explain under oath why she told her 72-year-old mother to die." A serene feeling settled over me. This was the path. "Do it," I said. My final stop that day was the park near Rebecca's house. I sat on a bench where I'd pushed the twins on the swings countless times. I took out my phone and dialed David's number. He answered, sounding harried. David, it's Evelyn. Oh, hi, Evelyn. Rebecca's not. This isn't for Rebecca. This is for you. I'm calling as a courtesy. You are no longer to bring the twins to my apartment. I am no longer available for babysitting. Effective immediately. Wah, Evelyn, is this about yesterday? She was stressed. The party planning. It's about a lifetime, David. And it's over. You and Rebecca will need to find and pay for childcare. Goodbye. I hung up. I could imagine the scene, Rebecca discovering the closed bank account, now hearing from a stunned David that her free, on-demand nanny had just resigned. The first tremors of the earthquake I was unleashing. I returned to my small, quiet apartment. I made a cup of tea. I did not cry. I opened my laptop and started a new document. I titled it, The Reckoning, A Mother's Ledger. I began to write, not just numbers but the story. The story of the little girl with pneumonia, the teenager in the pink dress, the bride at the altar, and the story of the woman she became, who looked at the source of all that love and saw a burden to be eliminated. This document was not for the lawyer. It was for me. And perhaps one day for others to read. The phone rang. The caller ID flashed. Rebecca. I let it ring. Once. Twice. 3 times. On the 4th ring, I picked up. Mother. Her voice was tight, a wire about to snap. What did you do at the bank? I took a slow sip of my tea. I took back what was mine, Rebecca. You said you wanted me to disappear. Consider this the vanishing act. It has only just begun. I ended the call and placed the phone gently on the table. Outside, the sun began to set. For the first time in decades, I felt not like a mother, not like a grandmother, not like a nurse. I felt like a woman who was finally, putting herself first. The flight touched down in Zurich with a gentle bump. Swiss efficiency was evident immediately. Within an hour, I was in a tidy, sunlit apartment overlooking Lake Zurich, arranged by the relocation service. The silence was profound, broken only by the distant chime of a church bell. It wasn't lonely. It was peaceful. I made a cup of tea and thought of Elvira back home. Back in the old city, Wednesday morning. Elvira checked her watch. 10 a.m. Perfect. Rebecca would be back from dropping the twins at school, probably still in her yoga clothes, scrolling through her phone, blissfully unaware that her life was about to be dismantled. Elvira practiced her expression in the mirror, a mix of deep concern and frantic worry. She picked up the manila envelope, thick with the weight of Julietta's 23-page letter and the notarized legal documents. Performance of my life, she whispered to her reflection, and set off. At Rebecca's house, the beautiful house Julietta had bought, Elvira took a steadying breath and rang the bell. She heard hurried footsteps. The door swung open. Rebecca stood there, phone in hand, looking irritated. Elvira? What are you doing here? Oh, Rebecca, Elvira began, her voice trembling with practiced urgency. I'm so worried. I haven't seen or heard from your mother since Monday morning. She's not answering her phone. I used my spare key. Her apartment is empty. Completely empty. And I found this. She thrust the thick envelope into Rebecca's hands. It's addressed to you. It was on her kitchen table, along with her house keys. Rebecca's face flickered from annoyance to confusion, then to the first cold trickle of dread. Empty. What do you mean, empty? Gone. Rebecca. Her clothes, her photos, her suitcases. It looks like she left. Elvira laid it on thick, wringing her hands. I didn't know who else to come to. I'm terrified something has happened to her. Rebecca tore open the envelope, her fingers clumsy. The first page fluttered out. My dear Rebecca, you asked me as a birthday gift to disappear from your life, and I have decided to grant your wish. She stopped reading aloud. Her eyes, initially scanning with impatience, began to move faster, darting across the lines. Elvira watched, hidden behind a mask of concern, as the color drained from Rebecca's face. She saw her lips form silent words. Co-signer, foreclosure proceedings, will changed, life insurance cancelled, trust fund locked. Page by page, the financial scaffolding of Rebecca's life was described, then deliberately kicked away. "It's a joke," Rebecca whispered, but her voice was thin, airless. "This is a sick joke." She fumbled for her phone, dialing her mother. It went straight to voicemail. She called David. "David, get home. Now. It's Mom. She's gone insane." Elvira interjected gently. "Rebecca dear, I should go. I just wanted to make sure you got this. Please, call me if you hear anything." She beat a retreat, leaving Rebecca standing in her grand foyer, the damning pages scattered at her feet like fallen leaves. By the time David arrived, Rebecca was on the floor, surrounded by the letter, sobbing with a fury born of sheer panic. "She can't do this. She's my mother. She can't just take everything back." David skimmed the documents, his own face hardening into a mask of shock. The legal language was clear, cold, and incontrovertible. The notice regarding the co-signed mortgage, citing his recent job loss as evidence of financial instability, felt like a physical blow. "Call the lawyer," he said, his voice hollow. "We need to call our lawyer." In Zurich, I received an email from Anil, my lawyer. "Julieta, per your instructions, formal notices were delivered today via certified mail to Rebecca and David regarding the mortgage co-signer rights and the initiation of proceedings to secure the loan for the down payment. Their attorney, a Mr. Branson, has already called. He is, to put it mildly, agitated. He claims emotional distress and attempts to argue undue influence. I have informed him that we have a contemporaneous text message acknowledging the debt and a promise of future care, and 8 months of mortgage payment receipts from you. He has requested a meeting. I have declined, as per your wishes. The ball is in their court." I replied simply, "Thank you, Anil. Hold the line." I then opened a new tab and logged into the secure portal for the trust fund I had set up for the twins. I uploaded a video message. "Hello, my darlings," I said, smiling warmly. "This is Grandma. I've had to go on a very long trip. I've left something for you for when you're all grown up. Be good, listen to your teachers, and remember that Grandma loves you very much." The funds would be inaccessible to Rebecca, managed by a trustee until the twins turned 25. They would know I loved them. They would also know one day why I had to leave. Back home, the storm broke publicly. Rebecca, desperate and unhinged, did what she always did when cornered: she attacked. She went on social media, posting a tearful, carefully filtered video. "My mother, who I love dearly, is suffering a mental health crisis. She has abandoned her family and is making terrible financial decisions. If anyone knows where she is, please contact me. We just want to get her the help she needs." The comments were initially sympathetic. Then Elvira, using a discreet anonymous account, posted a single powerful comment. "I knew Julieta for years. The sweetest, most selfless woman. She worked herself to the bone for her family. I wonder what could drive a person like that to finally walk away." Others, old neighbors, nurses I had worked with, began to add their own comments. Stories trickled out, of me selling jewelry for medicine, eating cheap soup, always putting Rebecca first. The narrative began to shift. Then, the final piece of my revenge fell into place. A reporter from a local newspaper, tipped off anonymously, Elvira, again, contacted Rebecca for a story about elder abandonment and financial exploitation. Rebecca, thinking it would garner sympathy, agreed to an interview. The article that came out was not what she expected. The headline read, "The $500,000 birthday wish. Local mother disappears after daughter's cruel demand." It was balanced, but it printed excerpts from my letter, with identifiers removed, the staggering total of my financial support, and quoted legal experts on the validity of my claims. It ended with a poignant question: when does a parent's sacrifice become a child's entitlement? Rebecca's social circle evaporated. The pitying looks at school pickup turned to cold shoulders. David's colleagues asked uncomfortable questions. The bank called about the mortgage. My phone, a new Swiss number, buzzed with a single, final text from an unknown number. It was Rebecca. No longer demanding, just broken. Mom. Please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. The twins are crying for you. We're losing everything. Please come home. I read it in the serene light of my Swiss balcony, the Alps majestic in the distance. I felt a pang, not for Rebecca, but for the grandchildren. But the pang was surrounded by a fortress of resolve. I did not reply. My disappearance was complete. The mother who was a burden was gone. In her place was Julieta Johnson, a 72-year-old woman sipping coffee in Zurich, finally free. And in the home she had paid for, her daughter was beginning to understand the true, devastating cost of the gift she had so carelessly requested. The revenge was not in my absence. It was in the life she now had to face, a life without me, and without the $500,000 safety net she had taken for granted. It was just beginning. Ingrid's story was a mirror to my own, a reflection of love exploited and then discarded. What did you do? I asked her as we walked a gentle trail with a view of snow-capped peaks. I did what you are doing, she said, her breath making little clouds in the crisp air. I moved. I changed my number. I sent a final accounting via my lawyer. The first year was the hardest. The guilt, the loneliness. But then, the peace arrived. And now, I hike, I paint, I have friends who want my company, not my checkbook. My children. They managed. They had to. And you know what? I think they respect me more now from a distance than they ever did up close. Her words were a bomb. This wasn't just survival. It was a blueprint for thriving. Back in my apartment, I powered on my old phone one last time. The barrage was over, replaced by a single, long email from David. It was the most honest communication I'd ever received from him. Julieta. Rebecca is not well. She's alternating between rage and a kind of stunned depression. The bank has formally notified us of the foreclosure proceedings due to co-signer intervention. Our lawyer says our chances of stopping it are slim unless we can repay the $150,000 down payment and the $16,000 in mortgage payments you covered, immediately. We can't. The twins keep asking for you. I don't know what to tell them. Grandma is on a long trip, doesn't work anymore. They heard us fighting. They know something is very wrong. I am writing this not to ask for money. I know that bridge is burned. I'm writing to say I'm sorry. I saw it all happening. I saw how she spoke to you, how she took you for granted. I enjoyed the benefits and stayed quiet. I was a coward. For that, I am truly sorry. We will have to sell the house. We've found a small rental. Rebecca has taken a part-time job. I start a new position next week. It pays less, but it's work. We will have to learn to live within our means, without you as a safety net. I don't expect a reply. I just needed you to know that your message was received. Loud and clear. I read it twice. There was no manipulation, just a bleak accounting. It was the sound of consequences settling in. I felt a twinge, for David's belated clarity, for the twins caught in the crossfire, but no urge to save them. They were in the life they had built, brick by selfish brick. I did not reply. Instead, I forwarded the email to Annel with a note, proceed with the settlement. Offer them this. I will halt foreclosure and sign over my co-signer rights if they agree to a formal, legally binding promissory note for the $166,000, repayable over 30 years at a minimal interest rate. The house remains theirs, but the debt remains mine. If they default, I take it all. Include a clause that all communication goes through you. It was a merciless mercy. It gave them a chance to keep their home, but it would hang over them like a sword for decades, a permanent, paper-thin reminder of what they had lost. A gift, with strings of steel. Anil's reply was swift, an elegant solution. It ensures your financial interest while maximizing the psychological impact. I'll draw it up. 6 months later. Spring in Zurich was a revelation. I had moved into a permanent, sun-drenched apartment. I was taking German classes and could now order coffee and ask for directions. I joined a book club and a weekly walking group with Ingrid and others. One afternoon, I received a package from Anil. Inside was a copy of the signed settlement agreement. Rebecca and David had accepted my terms. Their signatures were scrawled, resigned. Also in the package was a small, separate envelope. Inside was a child's drawing, a stick figure woman with grey hair under a huge yellow sun, next to a wobbly house. In green crayon it said, "We miss you Groma." It was unsigned, but I knew it was from the twins. I framed it and placed it on my desk. Not as a guilt trip, but as a reminder of the innocent collateral damage, and the love that existed separately from their mother's poison. My new phone buzzed. It was Ingrid. "Julieta, a few of us are taking the train to Lucerne for the weekend. Come with us. There's a lovely hotel by the lake." "I'd love to," I said, and I meant it. As I packed a small bag, I thought about the video channel idea that had flitted through my mind. The stories of Betty and Stella, and their revenge. I wasn't them. My revenge wasn't a broadcast. It was a quiet, total reclamation. But perhaps my story could help someone. So that night before my trip, I sat at my desk with the framed drawing behind me and recorded a short video. I didn't show my face, just the view of the Zurich lake at dusk. "If you're watching this," I began, my voice calm, "you might be where I was a year ago, heartbroken, used up, believing your worth is only what you can give to others who don't appreciate it. My name isn't important. I'm just a woman who finally learned that no is a complete sentence, and that walking away is not an act of cruelty, but an act of self-reservation. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And you should never set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, even if that someone is your own child." My revenge was not leaving. Anyone can run away. My revenge was building a life so full, so peaceful, and so joyful that my absence became not a punishment I inflicted, but a loss they had to live with. It was choosing myself, unapologetically, for the first time in 7 decades. It is never too late to start over. It is never too late to choose your own happiness. Be brave. I uploaded it to a small, anonymous channel. I didn't ask for likes or subscriptions. I just let it sit there, a message in a bottle for whoever might need to find it. Then I turned off the light, picked up my suitcase, and went to meet my friends at the station. The train to Lucerne was waiting, and my new life was ahead, bright and unburdened. I had given my daughter the disappearance she asked for. And in return, I had found myself. The phone call came on a Tuesday morning, 3 years to the day after I'd arrived in Switzerland. The Swiss winter sun streamed through my apartment window, casting diamonds on the lake below. "Mrs. Johnson? It's Anil." His voice held a note of finality I hadn't heard before. Over the past 3 years, my lawyer had become more than just legal counsel. He'd become the keeper of my old life's final threads. "I have news about the lawsuit," he said. "Rebecca has dropped all legal challenges. She's signed a full settlement agreement." I walked to the balcony, the crisp alpine air filling my lungs. "What are the terms?" "She agrees never to contest your will or your mental competence again. She waives any claim to your estate. In return, we agree not to pursue the defamation case further." He paused. "There's one more thing. She's asked, through her lawyer, if she might write to you. Not about money. Just to speak." I looked across the lake to where the Alps stood eternal and unmoved by human drama. "Give her my postal address," I said finally. "Not my email. A physical letter requires thought. It requires sitting down with pen and paper and remembering there's a person on the other end." The first letter arrived 2 weeks later. I recognized her handwriting immediately. The same looping script from childhood thank you notes I'd saved for decades. Mom. I'm writing this from the public library. We have a small apartment now. The twins are at school. David is at work. And for the first time in maybe my whole life, I'm completely alone with my thoughts. I've started therapy. The therapist says I should begin by listing what I lost when I lost you. Not the house or the money. Those were just symptoms. I lost the person who remembered I was afraid of thunder until I was 12. I lost the only person who knew exactly how I take my coffee. I lost the living memory of who I was before I became whatever I've become. I lost the safe place I could always return to, even when I didn't deserve it. You were right. I didn't want a mother. I wanted a service. A combination ATM, babysitter, and emotional punching bag that would never charge me for the damage. The twins ask about you. David showed them your book. They have it on their shelf next to their favorite novels. Sometimes I see them reading it, and I wonder what they think of the daughter in your story. I wonder if they recognize her. I don't expect forgiveness. I'm not writing to ask for that. I'm writing because for the first time, I'm seeing clearly. And the view from here is devastating. Rebecca. I read the letter 3 times. Then I placed it in the carved wooden box where I kept the twins' drawings and David's email. Not with the financial documents or legal papers. With the artifacts of what remained. I didn't reply. Another letter came a month later. Mom. I got a job. Not a career, a job. I'm a receptionist at a dental office. I make $18 an hour. Yesterday, a patient yelled at me because her insurance wouldn't cover a procedure. I had to just stand there and take it. It occurred to me later, this is what I did to you for years. I yelled about what I felt entitled to, and you just stood there and took it. The twins are turning 13 next month. They want to learn German. They say they want to be able to talk to you properly when they see you. David is helping them with an app. They're surprisingly good at it. Sometimes, when I'm making dinner in our tiny kitchen, I think about all the meals you made for us. How you'd always make my favorite when I was having a bad day. How you never once said, make it yourself. I'm learning to cook. It's harder than it looks. Rebecca. The letters continued, arriving every few months like seasons. She wrote about ordinary things, painting the apartment, the twins' soccer games, a book she'd read. Never asking for anything. Never expecting a response. Then, on the 4th anniversary of my departure, a different kind of letter arrived. It was thicker, official-looking. From a law firm I didn't recognize. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a note attached. Mom. I've paid back the first $5,000. It's not much compared to everything, but it's a start. My lawyer helped me set up the trust. Every payment goes directly to the children's fund you established. The twins won't touch it until they're 25, just like you wanted. I'm including the first check. There will be more. Every year on this date, for as long as I live. This isn't about the money. It's about the principle. It's about finally understanding that love isn't a debt to be collected, but a gift that was given. And that some gifts, once rejected, can't be returned. Rebecca. The check was attached. $5,000. From her personal account. I held it in my hands, this paper rectangle that represented something no amount of money could ever truly quantify. Acknowledgement. That afternoon, I did something I hadn't done in 4 years. I called Anil. Cash the check, I told him. Put it in the twins' trust. And send Rebecca a receipt. Just a receipt? He asked. Just a receipt. Epilogue. 5 years later. The book signing in Berlin was my last European event. When Love Hurts had been translated into 23 languages. Women approached me with tear-streaked faces, clutching worn copies to their chests like life preservers. You gave me the courage to leave, they'd whisper. You showed me it wasn't too late. After the last reader had left, the event coordinator approached me. There's a family here to see you, she said gently. They say they're from America. They've been waiting all afternoon. I knew before I turned. They stood near the exit. David, older, grayer, with a calmness in his eyes that hadn't been there before. And beside him, two young adults I barely recognized. The twins, now 18, tall and earnest-looking. And Rebecca. She stood slightly apart, holding a single book. Not my book. A photo album. Grandma, said one of the twins, Mark, I realized. His voice was deeper than I remembered. We came for a European trip, said his sister, Lily. We've been practicing our German. David stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on their shoulders. We'll wait outside, he said, guiding them toward the door. Then it was just Rebecca and me, surrounded by empty chairs and the ghost of applause. She looked older. Not just in years, but in a way that comes from having dismantled yourself and tried to rebuild. There were lines around her eyes that hadn't been there before, but her gaze was clear. Hello, Mom. She held out the photo album. I took it, my hands trembling in a way they hadn't in years. Inside were pictures I hadn't seen in decades. Me, young and smiling, holding a baby Rebecca. Her first birthday. Her graduation. The wedding I'd paid for. And then, more recent ones. The twins growing up. Rebecca in her dental office scrubs. Their small apartment with paint-splattered drop cloths on the floor. On the last page was a single sheet of paper with a list, handwritten in Rebecca's script. Things I'm learning. 1. How to apologize without expecting forgiveness. 2. How to give without keeping score. 3. How to love without suffocating. 4. How to be a daughter without being a dependent. 5. How to miss someone without making it their problem. I looked up, tears blurring the careful handwriting. I'm not asking to come back into your life, she said quietly. I know I forfeited that right. I'm just presenting evidence that I heard you, that the message was received. She took a step back, giving me space. We're here for 2 weeks. We have a hotel. If you have time for coffee, or a walk, the twins would love to see you. But no expectations. Truly. I looked at my daughter, this stranger I had carried inside my body, this person who had broken my heart and was now standing before me, whole in her brokenness. I have a favorite cafe, I said finally. By the lake. The hot chocolate is excellent. A smile touched her lips. Tentative, unpracticed. The twins would like that. And you? I asked. She met my gaze. I would like to sit with my mother and not ask her for anything. Just sit. If that's possible. I closed the photo album, holding it against my chest. Tomorrow, I said. 10 o'clock. She nodded, tears in her own eyes now. Thank you. As she turned to leave, I spoke again. Rebecca. She paused. The hot chocolate is quite expensive, I said. You should be prepared to pay for your own. For the first time in maybe forever, my daughter looked at me and laughed. A real unguarded sound that filled the empty bookstore. I'll bring my wallet, Mom, she said. I'll bring my wallet. 2 years later. The video starts as they all do, with a close-up of a kind, weathered face, silver hair elegantly styled, the Swiss Alps visible through a window behind her. Hello, I say to the camera. If you've been following my channel, you know my story. You know about the daughter who wished me dead. You know about my escape to Switzerland. You know about the book, the lawsuits, the journey back to myself. I pause, smiling slightly. Today's story is different. Today's story is about what comes after the revenge. After the healing. After you've built a life so beautiful you almost forget the pain that brought you here. The camera pulls back to show the cafe table. 4 cups of hot chocolate. 4 plates with pastry crumbs. My grandchildren are here visiting, I say, gesturing to Mark and Lily, now 20, who smile shyly at the camera. They just finished their first year of university. They paid for their flights with money they saved themselves. The camera turns to David, who raises his cup in a silent toast. And this, I say, my voice softening, is Rebecca, my daughter. Rebecca looks into the camera, her expression calm, grounded. Hello, she says simply. We've been doing something extraordinary this visit, I continue. We've been hiking. Not the difficult trails I usually take with my friends. Gentle ones. Accessible ones. Because Rebecca has developed arthritis, a genetic gift from me, as it turns out. I reach across the table and take my daughter's hand. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't pull away. She laces her fingers through mine. The revenge I promised you, I say to the camera. It's complete. But it wasn't losing her house. It wasn't the financial independence. It wasn't even this beautiful life I've built. I look at Rebecca. She nods, giving me permission. The revenge, I say softly, was living so well that I became someone worth missing. It was healing so completely that my happiness no longer depended on her remorse. It was building a self so solid that when she finally found her way back, changed, humbled, genuinely different, I could open the door without fear of being consumed. Rebecca speaks now, her voice clear. What my mother taught me, what she taught all of us, is that love shouldn't cost anyone their dignity. That real love expands you. It doesn't diminish you. I'm still learning that. But I'm learning. The camera focuses on our joined hands on the table. So if you're out there, I say, in the painful middle of your story, know this. The best revenge isn't making them pay. It's making yourself whole. It's building a life so radiant that when they finally look up from their own darkness, they have to squint. I smile, and it's a real smile. Not the performative one from the early videos, not the tight one from the years of sacrifice. A real, easy, joyful smile. The revenge, I say, is becoming someone you're proud to live with. Everything else is just geography. The screen holds on our joined hands for a moment. Then the familiar closing text appears. Did you like this story? Tell me what city you're watching from in the comments. If this helped you, consider supporting the channel. Remember, your peace is worth protecting. Until next time. But this time, beneath the standard closing, 3 final words appear in elegant script. With love. Julieta. The end.